she is. 3:30. Okay. All right. I'll call you when I get up. Bye.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
How you doing?
Is it off? Is it off?
Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
County Commissioners Court now in progress. Honorable Judge Trevino presiding.
Commissioners Court for today, April 10th, 2024, 9 a.m. is now in session. Agenda item number 3, public testimony. Is there anybody out in the public that would like to address the court at this time? Hearing none, we'll move forward to agenda item number 4. Here, presentations from 2 finalists recommended by the Evaluation Committee on the pending request for qualification for design build contracting for high performance facilities, RFQ number 2024-0202 for courthouse renovation services. So we're in the tail end of our selection process for the design build for our courthouse remodel and services. And we had, I want to say 6 or 7 applicants, 8 bids. We had 8 bids, and today we have an opportunity to listen to some presentations from the top 2. And the top 2 are Fisher and Heck and Phoenix 1. At this time, will Fisher and Heck please report for your presentation? And if you can please state your names for the court and the company you represent, and then you can begin your presentation. Commissioners, we all have copies of the bid submission packets.
Morning. My name is David Hannon. I'm a principal with Fisher Heck Architects, and I'm here with Kurt Stoddard with JC Stoddard Construction. And so together we're partnering as a design build team for this project. We've been around since 1982. One of our core focuses is historic preservation. We've worked on just ourselves 4 or 5 courthouses since we've been in inception. Stoddard's worked on
Judge, J.C. Stoddard Construction. My name's Jerron Curtis Stoddard. My father is Jerron Curtis Stoddard. His dad's name is Jerron Curtis Stoddard, and he started J.C. Stoddard Construction. So we've been in business over 50 years now. In courthouses, we've done 20, 21, 22, something akin to that. Around here, LaSalle County, Brooks County, Kennedy County, down in Sarita, and I can name a bunch of other ones, but I'd just be saying names to you. So other than that, besides historic restoration, I've built, I don't know, 100 million in Catholic churches. We also completed the cathedral down in Laredo here in the last year or 2. The name's escaping me right now because I'm talking in front of all these people. It makes me nervous.
Yeah.
It really embarrasses me that I'm not remembering it, but very old cathedral there in Laredo, right on the river. You know the name of that thing, David?
I don't.
St. Augustine
Yeah.
Cathedral. We were chosen for that project, and before the hurricane, we restored the Fulton Mansion. Lots of historic stuff, so.
And we met with the judge, several months ago and talked about kind of his ideas for the courthouse. And we know security is a big kind of concern for you guys right now, as well as just some other, maintenance items around the building. And so right now we're currently working with Live Oak on, working on their courthouse. We're working with Kurt Stoddard on a former historic courthouse up in Bandera. It's being turned into more of a museum / administration building. And so we've done several projects together, and we think we make a good team. We have kind of the same ideals and same practices, and we just kind of view things very similarly. We're kind of non-ego professionals, so it's all about the client and, what we can do to best serve you guys. So that's a little bit in a nutshell, but I'll open it up for questions that you guys might have for us.
So y'all are assisting Live Oak County with their project over there?
Yes.
I would add, if it's helpful to you, I also restored the courthouse in Rock Springs, Edwards County. That's Judge Suley Shanklin. Y'all could contact him to discuss my work and happiness thereof. I restored the Falls County Courthouse, presently stabilizing the Lee County Courthouse. Falls County and Lee County hired a professional project manager to represent the owners. His name's Jim Hanks. He's an engineer, represents solely the owner. And so I've worked with him on two of those courthouses. Like I just said, I invite you to call him, see what he thinks about the kind of job I did for his owners. And also, not too long ago, I completed phase 2 of the San Saba County Courthouse. These are recent ones. So I would say if y'all wanted to contact the judge there in San Saba, please do so. I've always felt like most of my jobs are construction manager at risk jobs. I'm not trying to get together subs and get the lowest bid for the county. I want to get a good low price for the county, but that ain't always the cheapest one. And so I've gotten my work mainly out of being chosen. And I would like to tell you, I think it's because I'm going to do a good job for you. I'm going to make a reasonable amount of money. And if y'all do something else, you're going to ask me back. I did phase 1 of LaSalle County. As the low bidder, they chose me to do phase 2 as a construction manager at risk. I did phase 1 of Menard County about 12, 14 years ago. And then they chose me to do phase 2 10 years later as a construction manager at risk. And I'll just tell you, if you'll check my recommendations, if I do a phase 1, I'm asked back for phase 2. And so I sound like I'm bragging, but I'm just being honest with you. It's my job to make my owner happy. I get asked back, and y'all choose us. You do something else, you're going to ask us back. I have at least 3 superintendents that have been with me for 30 years. Okay, a lot of construction companies have superintendents come and go. Mine stay with me because, like my owners, I treat my superintendents right. And you need superintendents that know what they're doing in construction projects, especially when it's historic restoration, because you got to know not only what to do, but what not to do. Okay, that's just as important. I've got carpenters that have been with me 20 years. And I intend to have them 15, 20 years from now. Some of them, I guess I work them too hard. About 55 or so, they got to retire. But in any event, if you do hire Fisher and Heck, and David is very modest. I should work on that myself. But Fisher Heck's been around a long time. They were doing work with my dad. And they've done a ton of historic work, and you'd be darn happy with them. And so other than that,
Yeah, just to expand on that a little bit, we also have, both of our firms have a great deal of experience with working with the Texas Historical Commission. We've actually worked directly for them on some of their state historic sites together. And so we've been recommended by them to other clients, to other counties. So I know Stoddard's one of the top ones on the list that they always recommend to counties when they're ever looking for a contractor. So I know that's going to be part of whatever work we end up doing here. So we feel very confident, working on behalf of you guys with the THC. So that's another great qualification for us.
Anybody has any questions?
I have a question. I know when you store something like this, it's hard to put a number to it and stick with that. Do you go through a lot of change orders? How do you,
well,
I know I know it's not, if we say we're gonna put a number to it and we can't stick to it, and I understand that, but have you seen in the past that
I've seen courthouses where there was a lot of change orders and courthouses where there were very few. I've had one recently where there's just tons of them, but they're not anything we're finding. The owners just keeps adding stuff and actually even redesigning stuff, which is just fine. But it does result in change orders. And then you're always going to have the opportunity when you're opening things up to maybe find stuff you didn't know was there. There could be structural damage. There could be asbestos, lead paint that you're not aware of. You may have some you are aware of. Then there may be some when you uncover stuff you're not aware of, and then you got to get an abatement guy to come in. Those are the big things. Maybe you find structural damage somewhere. And that's not something that we would decide. The engineer would say, hey, maybe this is a problem. Here's what we ought to do to fix it. Sometimes other things that have popped up before is the plan is to reuse the cast iron plumbing drain pipes sometimes, and turns out they're not good enough, right? We snake them, put a camera in them. There are things that you can find that could cause change orders, but the good thing about a design build is you have the opportunity to get in early and check everything out, right? So that you find out now, not later. And so I always, there's two schools of thoughts in the construction manager at risk kind of deal. A lot of times a county will take and just do the demo first, right? Not part of the overall construction project, just the demo, and then finish up the drawings so that they know at that time, okay, here are the hidden problems. And that usually works out better. It tends to lengthen the general conditions of the contract because you're doing two phases, right? But in a design build, you can kind of roll one right into the other and save money in the long run and know what the problems are before you get into this long-term contract. So.
Yeah, we found, to piggyback on Kurt's point, both having a contractor on as early as possible does help reduce those change orders in the long term. But like you said, also, if we can implement a kind of demolition investigation phase early on, put that package out, uncover some stuff early before we get into, you know, the rest of the design, the rest of the construction, we can, you know, pinpoint and identify some of those issues, you know, early rather than at the very end, and then we're scrambling to, you know, adjust after that, so.
On the project manager, is that gonna be paid through us in-house, or is it through the grant?
When I mentioned project manager earlier, in those circumstances, the county felt like they weren't qualified to watch over the job and make sure, right, that we're doing what we're supposed to, right? So every county faces that to some extent. Those two counties decided to hire an expert, an engineer who is very experienced in construction, to be the owner's rep, to sit at every meeting and monitor the progress to make sure the owner was getting everything they were supposed to. And, you know, that is something the county paid for. Traditionally, you have that in a situation where there was a low bid, and they picked the contractor solely off of low bid, okay? So they want an owner rep to really monitor things, and that's usually a pretty darn good idea. The idea here is, we're stepping into that role, but I would certainly invite you, if you wanted to, you know, to do the same thing. You'd be double kind of, you'd be doing belts and suspenders, but certainly nothing wrong with that. I will tell you, you don't need them if you hire us, but if you got the money, if I was the owner in any type of situation where I wasn't real clear on exactly, and construction's a little more complicated than people think, certainly don't hurt.
That would be through us in-house, right? Not
If
through-
you decided you wanted to, or you could tell me to hire him. You know, I'd say, well, I'll do that, but you're wasting your money.
What if you hired your brother?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, you're kind of wasting your money at that point, because really the idea of a design build is
That's really kind of our job, yeah.
you're picking a team you feel like you can trust, right? So you would be double dipping on money. I wouldn't do it, but I also understand some people want to know absolutely for certain. I've got tons of eyes on this thing, making sure everything goes exactly right, and I don't hold that against an owner.
No problem. I think Tanya from the Historical Commission said it might be part of a grant, one of the line items.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Any other questions?
That's a good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm not a car salesman, I can tell you that.
Do we plan to do
But
demolition?
I try, and guys, thanks a lot for having us and letting us have this opportunity.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. Good presentation. Next presentation is Phoenix 1.
Morning, Judge.
Morning.
Commissioners.
Morning.
Please state your name for the court and
Yes, my name is Dale Sellers. I'm the president and CEO of Phoenix One Restoration and Construction. Phoenix One is teaming up with Architects. Let's see, we back to the next slide, please. Yeah, I'm sorry, my slides are a little hard to, next. I'd like to introduce Alexis McKinney and Juan Raymond with Architects. I'm going to be handling the first part and talk a little bit more about Phoenix One, and then I'm going to turn it over to Alexis. We have prepared a PowerPoint presentation. I wish you'd all been able to attend the Real Places event last week. Judge Pete was lucky enough to be there. Got about 30 hours of videos that we play continuously of the projects. We'd normally like to have an hour or two because there's so much to discuss, but we're going to do this in about 15 or 20 minutes this morning. Next. This is of the design build team as we see it. You kind of see the Phoenix one as the design builder, the design team consisting of architects, JQ Engineering, and DBR as the MEP. It's noted that we've done over 20 projects with each of these firms, from design build through construction. So our experience, I'll get into a little bit more together, is quite extensive. Next. Phoenix has over 59 years of design build experience. We've done over 35 courthouse projects, over 300 historic projects, and over 2,000 projects for over $400 million since April 1st, 1999. I founded the company on April Fool's Day, seemed appropriate, and I bought it. It had been in business since '65. In progress, we have about $71 million worth of contracts in progress. Our current backlog, the portion of that that's not done, is about $33 million. Alexis, you want to address?
Sure. Architects, we're on our 56th year, and we've done a multitude, 150 is our current count of city and county work. We specialize in historic buildings and new construction within a historic context. And we'll talk a little bit more about our work with Phoenix One that we've done.
Good. Next.
There we go. So this is just Architects and Phoenix One working together. We've been doing projects for over 25 years. Let's see, our count is 10 plus courthouses together through the THC's program. And then $45 million between those projects together.
Next. You know, Phoenix, when we started, the whole concept really was to be the contractor of choice and to be leaders in the industry. We never had any desire. We don't build schools. We don't do shopping centers. Our primary focus is historical restoration. We've certainly been leaders in the industry. At one time, of the first 30 courthouses, we had done 20 of them. And the fact is, we didn't want to be the best, and we want to focus in this. And it truly is our main focus. We do a lot of structural repairs. We do have in-house capabilities to do masonry restoration, architectural metal, plaster, paint, structural steel, and we can do all those in-house. But as we find as we move around the state, we do everything we possibly can to hire local contractors. As long as they've got the skill set required to do them, it's less expensive for the counties. It's better for the counties. But that is our goal. It's not to be the biggest. We're really happy where we're at. We're not trying to grow anymore. We currently have about 80 full-time employees. Our average employee's been with us over 10 years. Next. I bring this up simply as these are reference letters that we have. And as you'll notice, Glenn Reed, who's with the THC currently, the Historical Sites Division, Larry Ersick with Architects, Stan Graves, Ross Montgomery was the first judge in Shackleford. You know, we've got over 50 of these recommendation letters. And I think one of the key parts about that is how long our relationship goes. I mean, it goes back 20-something years. We've worked through hard spots and easy spots, if you will. But if you look at the Texas Historical Commission, over 50% of the projects of their sites that are historic work, not new construction visitor centers, they award those to Phoenix One. We've done far more than any other contractor working directly for the THC. And we are the prime sponsor for their main event each year, which is the Real Places event in Austin, Texas. Next. I'm going to kind of go through these quickly because of time constraints. We're currently working on the Texas State Capitol. We did an $8 million restoration about 7 years ago of all the windows and masonry. And we're currently doing a $27 million project to replace the copper roof. It's about a 2.5-year-long project. We also just finished in the last 2 weeks the Visitor Center directly next to the Capitol. And these are working directly for the state and the State Preservation Board and the state architect. We also did the old municipal building in downtown Dallas. It's about a $14 million project, complete exterior masonry roof, project. And you'll recognize the courthouse in Beaumont, and that looks like the Lee County Courthouse. Next. We did the San Jacinto Monument approximately 20 years ago. Courthouse in the upper left corner is Shackelford County Courthouse, the Presidio County Courthouse, and the Llano County Courthouse. Next. The courthouse in Valverde, courthouse in Wheeler, the courthouse in Maverick County, and actually the other one was Lampasas. Llano's down there to the left. Next. Parker County Courthouse, Clarendon County Courthouse, Lee County Courthouse, and the Gray County Courthouse. And all these were part of the Texas Courthouse Preservation Program. Next. Did the courthouse in Burnett, Bosque, Rockwall, and Newton. And some of these, we didn't do the entire restoration. Newton, we did the post-fire reconstruction, put a temporary roof on it, did masonry. Eventually, someone else did the courthouse. The outside of Burnett County Courthouse was kind of windows and semi-restoration. So not all these were full restoration projects. It's whatever the county required at the time. Next. I got Red River County, Cameron, Ellis, and Harrison. And interestingly enough, on this slate of courthouses, except for Cameron, we were a subcontractor. Because we have so many in-house capabilities, it's not unusual at all for other general contractors, because we have people that actually do the work and know how to do it. They're more brokers, and we do a lot of in-house work. Next. Hardeman County was a complete exterior restoration in 2 phases. Lamar County Courthouse, we were a sub, and the Cook County Courthouse, we did all the exterior and roofing on it, and another contractor did the interior phase. Next. And as you can see from all over the state, I mean, this is what we do. This is what we specialize in. From the panhandle down to the border, it's what we love to do, and it's our business. It's not like we're just not a construction company. We're a restoration company. Next. You know, I talked about internal characteristics, you know, partnerings when your word was your bond. I mean, a lot of things we've done have been done on a handshake. And really our experience, it's unparalleled in the industry, there's no doubt. And we are low bid on over 50% of the projects we bid. But as Curtis had said, there are a lot of competitive sealed proposals, and you get picked on based on your value, your experience, your capabilities, your subs. And we like, honestly, our preferred mechanism of contracting is a competitive sealed proposal where hard numbers put on the table. Not, I'm gonna charge you a fee and y'all don't know what the end result of that is, right, until after the process is over with. When there's competitive sealed proposal, there's a set of plans, there's a hard number put on the table. There can be a fee for the first phase, for the design phase, right, to get through that and pay the architects and stuff. But when it goes down to hard numbers, we get over 75% of the projects we bid. If we don't get a project and it's not competitive sealed proposal, it's usually because someone comes in with an artificially low fee. They come in and say they'll do it for 3 or 4%. That's creative accounting. The hard numbers get there and what it takes to do the work, we're very, very efficient at what we do and the subcontractors we bring to play in the process. We find very few people compete with us on the dollars, the final dollars, rather than just fees. Next. This gets back to the projects that we've done with Architectus. With that, I'll turn it over to Alexis.
We'll transition. So again, we've done quite a few courthouse restorations through the program, and we're showing you all of the THC program and ones that aren't within it because the timeline for that's coming up, and we want to make you all aware of the options moving forward with that if you choose to continue. Next, please. So we wanted to show a couple examples of county or city annex buildings because a part of this THC discussion that I was a part of the team that did the master plan in 2007 with Bailey Architects, who since is no longer a company. But so I have access to that, and we've been reviewing the master plan. The big discussion then was about the additions, right? And that was the holdup of scoring high enough within the program to receive a full restoration grant, right? And so we wanted to show some examples of keeping the additions or not keeping the additions. And what would be required for removing additions would be an annex space usually, right? So this is an example of some new or restoration buildings for city and county annex space. Next, please. This slide brings up the 2007 master plan. So that was approved with the THC, and the approach was to go back to 1913, which removed the 1948 additions. It had a full restoration price on that of about 7.3 million back then, including the removal of the additions. So there's a couple paths to go forward. We would recommend staying in compliance with the THC. So what that means, and we're working with Duval County, I think they're a great example right now of what that means. They're keeping their additions on the courthouse. They've applied for an emergency grant focused on interior electric work, roof work, and some windows. So you can pursue emergency grants and then continue with your approved master plan. But any removal of additions is way down the line, right? That as long as that master plan stays in place, then you will be able to pursue an emergency grant approach. And so the match on that, we're seeing at Duval, it's about 30% of county contribution. In the past, we've seen, I mean, and you score higher with the higher match, so we see a lot of 50-50 matches as well for that amount. But we wanted to bring up, so let's see, as long as you're staying in compliance with the THC down the line, there's a future of receiving that $10 million grant to restore the courthouse.
Question.
Yes.
When you said 30% match with Duval County?
Duval, yeah, so their emergency grant currently that they're wrapping up, I guess it's wrapped up, right?
What was their 30%?
30%, yeah.
How much was it?
I know that the THC, Juan Ramon may have to speak up.
I think they got an initial grant of about $700K, and they got a lot of supplemental grants for a total of over 1.1 million, which is very high for emergency grants. And so the county only put in around 400K for a total of 1.5 million, I believe, for a total project.
That's a little more than we see for the total amount of emergency grant, but there were things that were found during the work that increased the need, and so the THC stepped up with that. Next slide, please. I wanted to show you two other examples. So these are both courthouses that I've worked with Phoenix One on, so Fort Bend and Jefferson. They're two courthouses that pursued restoration not within the THC program. Fort Bend, you can see the photo on the left that it had 2 rounds of additions on it, had a 30s addition in the middle and then 2 50s additions on the side. They elected to remove the 50s addition, but wanted to keep the 30s addition, which included their commissioner courtroom. And because of that, they couldn't score high enough to get a full restoration. And so they were able to restore on their own through county money and local grants. So that's one example. And then Jefferson in Beaumont, which is the $1 million courthouse when it was built back in the 30s, they have a 1980s addition on the bottom right that's fully attached. And so they're not scoring high enough because of that attachment. And it's a huge addition, so there's no plan to ever remove that. They have taken the restoration of the courthouse on in phases. And so Phoenix One has done the exterior restoration with me and the roof, and they've gone on to continue with some HVAC work, but doing a budget for each scope and doing it one on one. Next slide, please. Then we wanted to show a couple examples, some local examples. So Duval County with the emergency grant, so that's got numerous additions on the back and they're staying in operation. The emergency grant really focused on interior electrical work. And so the removal of any future additions, we'll kick that can down the road, but they still remain eligible for emergency grants.
They did all their windows also, correct?
Yeah, and some roof work. So that emergency work, there needs to be evidence of concern, right? That there is usually it's water related. So a lot of times it's roof windows focused. But the THC, has that pot for the emergency grants to try to help those along and get those taken care of so it doesn't get worse in the future. Next slide, please. The other county that's in a similar set is Bastrop. So they received a national park grant to work on their lantern. So their lantern here on the right is fully restored or is in the process, right? I think they're under construction. They'll be pursuing emergency grants in this round, which is due here in May. Next slide. So Juan Ramon is going to talk a little bit about the timeline for that.
Hello, my name is Juan Raymond Rubio. I've been with Architects for about 7 years, and during that time, I've been able to work with about a dozen counties, and there are different projects that range from master plans all the way to construction projects and construction administration. I help manage a lot of our grant projects through the THC, and so we just wanted to give you an update for those that weren't able to attend the THC Real Places Conference, that this timeline is already in process. We're a little bit later in the game. We're around this April 22nd deadline, which the good thing for you all is you already have an approved master plan, right? And so that's great. The next steps from here, if you all were to try to pursue a grant by that May 13th deadline, would be to provide these following items to the right, which is a resolution of support from the Commissioner's Court. Again, finding that scope of work, what's the emergency, like Alexis had mentioned. Let's get a cost estimate, and then let's get all the application figured out and signed. And then there's also a pre-application training video, which, Judge, you may have been briefed on by Tanya, I believe. But we think that, we really work hard to try to point out to the THC what's the most bang for the buck, right? When we did the Duval application, we knew that they had ADA problems, they had glass falling out the windows, they had stone masonry that was falling off the front entrances, and they had severe electrical problems. So what can we do to, one, get the county what they need, which is a new electrical service upgrade, which also they needed public support, right? And the public wants to see new windows, new doors completed. We also try to strategize those type of applications that are emergencies so that we're making the work make sense for you all. So for instance, at Duval, we completed upper windows and try to take advantage of different scaffolding things so that in the future, when they do ground level windows, they don't have to pay for scaffolding. Things like that are really cost prohibitive and expensive. So you want to take as much work as you can to do different things at different levels. And so we try to work with the counties to get, again, what makes most sense? What can you all get that's actually going to make a meaningful impact on that historic building, but then also get community support where they're coming up to the courthouse and saying, hey, Judge, the door looks better. The doors work today. The window's not dangerous. And that matters a lot for you all because you guys are serving in the public. So.
Part of what makes this timeline, the May 13th, possible, at least for us, is that because I was a part of that master plan process, I have all the documents, we have the cost estimate, we're very familiar with the scope of work, so we would utilize those to try to expedite a grant if that was the path forward.
I guess one last thing before the next slide, it's worth mentioning that this year the rules have changed, so we've encouraged all of our counties to come back for emergency grants, but we also don't know what that's going to look like because returning counties that have been restored, they can come back, and that cap has been raised from 6 million to 10 million. So we're getting a lot of applications this year, and we have no idea what the scoring is going to look like, but we're always advocating what's the most dangerous condition, what counties have a severe problem that we can highlight and try to get a small scope of work completed.
Their budget's 40 million, right?
Yeah.
Been allocated 40 million?
Additionally, they're really trying to pay, with the new rules, they're trying to pay respect to those counties that have been loyal to the program. And so for the counties that continually apply, you'll start to get more points for that, which in the long term of things, 1 point matters. We've had counties that have not gotten awarded because they're 1 or 2 points off. And so for you all to show, hey, we're going to start applying because we only get this chance every 2 years, you'll start getting points based off of those applications that you've tried.
Well, and start applying again. The last one was in round 7, which I think was just following the master plan. So they do have that previous application. We also wanted to mention too that a new requirement is about having an owner rep as a part of the work. We don't know if that is related to the emergency grants, but it is a requirement of a full restoration. But that is an eligible expense, so that would be a part of the what the THC would be contributing towards. Next.
That's fine.
That's it.
Any questions?
Yeah. Thank you for your time. Yeah.
Thank you guys very much. Anybody have any more questions or anything?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good presentation.
Thank you. Very welcome. Have a good day.
I'm gonna go ahead and read out number 5, and then we'll take a brief little recess, and then we're gonna go into executive session to discuss some things with our attorney, and then we'll go from there. So agenda item number 5, discuss, consider, and take action to retain one of the 2 finalists recommended by the evaluation committee for pending request for qualifications for design, build, contracting for high-performance facilities, RFQ number 2024-0202 for courthouse renovation services. Thank you all very much. We're going to go into recess. It is 9:41. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
He's gonna open the meeting first.
Okay, today is April 10th, 2021. We went into executive session, not executive session, went to recess. Now it's 9:49. And we're coming back to regular session. I've read agenda item number 5, and Commissioners Court will go into executive sessions under, let me see, where is it at here? Consultation with attorney, section 551.071. And it is 9:50. So we'll go into executive session. We'll ask everybody to please allow us time to discuss Okay, Commissioners Court for today, April 10th, 2024, executive session. We're now back to regular session. Executive session has ended at 9:59 a.m. and we are in regular session. Now we will deliberate or ask any questions or commissioners. Do you have any questions on any of the participants or the vendors? I know that it's a tough decision. Y'all both have done a lot of work through a lot of different capabilities and a lot of different agencies. So does anybody have anything they would like to say or? So that being said, I think it plays a big role on my part that you guys have worked with a lot of counties close to us. I know that Phoenix One has also, but Fisher and Heck did score the highest. Fisher and Heck, Stoddard.
They scored the highest?
Yeah, 377 to 370. Yeah, 377 to 372.
Is that correct?
This is what I have right here. Read that, make sure I'm reading it right. Do you know something or what?
No, I'm just asking.
So, Fisher and Heck did score the highest. And by both presentations, they were great presentations. I do feel like Fisher and Heck, since they scored the highest, and they had a good presentation, that's going to be my recommendation. I'm not sure what the recommendation is by other commissioners, but I make a motion that we select Fisher and Heck at this time.
I'm gonna second the motion because I'm sure that they did reference checks and the committee, that's who they did. That's who we got the committee.
So I have a motion, I have a second. Is there any further discussion needed?
One thing I like about the Phoenix one is, because that's all they do is restoration of,
We have to understand, I am perfectly fine with either one of them. I am not by any means going to want to do anything or nothing. If, I am perfectly fine with either one. I'm perfectly satisfied with both of y'all's presentations. If we choose either one of you guys, I'm perfectly fine. So
I feel the same way. I feel that Phoenix One put the best presentation up. The experiences throughout the local areas here with Duval County and stuff like that.
Why don't we, we're in the discussion
Yes.
part, right? We can take a vote on it and see if you get the votes
Okay.
to go with your recommendation.
no problem. I have a motion, I have a second to select Fisher and Heck. Can I get a vote? And everybody that agrees, say yay.
Yay.
Yay. Okay. Motion dies. Can I entertain another motion?
I'd like to make a motion to accept Phoenix One as the group two.
I'll second it.
I have a motion, I have a second. Is there any further discussion needed? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Phoenix One has been selected. Thank you all very much, Mr. Stoddard. Appreciate you guys. And I'm perfectly satisfied with that. Thank you all very much, and
Judge, if I may thank everybody, thank you, the committee, thank you guys for showing up. The presentations was awesome. The committee members, thank you all very much. And everybody was in charge.
thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so much.
And we'll be in contact for sure. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Commissioners, appreciate you guys. We're not gonna lose here.
Yeah, they're
We're,
both good.
they're both excellent. I have no problem with either one of those selections. I got to see Phoenix One's presentation over there, and it's excellent. Is there anything else we need to discuss or anything? Anybody want to go back to,
Can I ask, okay, so these people are gonna evaluate the windows, electrical, so what kind of
well, the main thing that they're going to evaluate is the windows and our doors, because we need those sealed up. Years back, we
so
did
they're
the,
gonna concentrate just on the windows for right now, and then, maybe get a supplemental grant later?
so the main deal is the windows, doors, and the infrastructure.
Okay.
If there's a problem with the infrastructure, we might have to take care of it now. If not, then, and that's, what I mean by infrastructure is foundation. If there's any foundation issues, we'll start there, and then we'll continue to.
Yeah, with the timeline, we probably need to just concentrate on the windows, so we can get our application in.
Judge, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they, when they were talking about the master plan, those are the ones that were here when, back
Yes.
when Judge Science was here and they started doing the process and then they died?
Yes, the lady there was the one who did, yes.
The master plan.
For the historical.
Yeah, so
That
she's
caught
got the
my
master
eyes.
plan, yeah, definitely. No, like I said, this was awesome, man. I mean, this is why you go out and to get the caliber of vendors that we got today. So
I
we
was
did not
impressed that we
lose.
had that many applying.
Oh, yeah, we
So,
had eight,
and do
six,
they
seven, eight.
do, are we gonna do anything, I know we've always had an issue with, our drainage and stuff, none of that is gonna be done.
Not, that's might be down the road, but right now, we want to take care of our windows. I mean, we have very bad.
Did the committee meet with did they get a presentation from both of these? Okay, because it makes a lot of difference, you know, the recommendation and, you know, versus the presentations. You know, I saw, my evaluation would have been for Phoenix, you know.
Yeah.
I figured maybe y'all did reference checks.
I didn't, Michael, but when you have those reference checks, you can call them, Roger?
Yes.
You can call
Yeah,
them.
the committee, you know, I think we're still on topic, even though we've already voted, but the committee has the right to have reference checks. They can call a presentation if they want. They can do whatever. You know, the latitude is there on the procurement process. Yeah.
Just so you know that both of these were very close. Yes. Maybe is that they're
You talking about Fisher and Heck? Both, yeah.
you know, and I think being that, you know, a lot of us may have scored higher than what high is and lower than what low is, you know, we didn't really have all the same numbers in mind. That's probably what you saw.
And the difference was
They were
very,
very close. Very close.
very, very close.
Yeah, that, and the other part was also, they mentioned about
But
higher
I saw
local.
that, I think that Phoenix had more support,
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
They
no,
had
it's
more
good.
support, as far as the company wise.
yeah.
I think like you said, Judge, either you get a gun.
Yeah, either way, it could have gone either way. Fisher and Heck, they're the ones who did Clayburg, so Clayburg and Live Oak and all that around us, so. But no, we did good. Now, can I entertain a motion?
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn.
Second.
A motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Oh, you see that, right?
Whoever you wanna put down.